Cool. So yeah, it looks like we're just about ready to start here. So I'm going to start with some introductions. My name's Christian. I'll be your host. I'm in the web operations department, and I got asked to host this series on the webinar. So basically what we'll be doing today, before I introduce everybody else, we're going to be taking a first look at OCA, which is the new online dig ticket portal. And we'll be going through how to create some simple tickets, secondary actions, how the program works, and it'll be just kind of first impressions of it. And then subsequently, we'll be doing deeper dives and spotlights on certain features and stuff, okay? Now, before we get into it too much further, I've got Ariel Maddie. She's the web operations supervisor. She'll be in the chat helping with questions today. Say, hey, Ariel.
Hey, I'll likely be popping in now and again to give my tips and such as well. So don't be surprised if I jump in now and again.
Yeah, awesome. We've also got, hopefully I'm going to need it. We've got Chris Botting also from the marketing and education department. He'll be chatting with us, adding to the conversation, helping with chat as well. Like to introduce yourself, Chris?
Yeah, morning, everybody. What a fantastic turnout, as Ariel said. Yeah, you'll probably hear me piping in once in a while, or probably just for some clarifications and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we've got actually the rest of the web operations department. They don't need to introduce themselves, but they'll be helping with questions as well. And we've also got Colin Miotti here. He is the marketing director and education director. He'll also be helping with any questions, and he can feel free to chime in, so you might hear his voice as well to do some deeper dives. If you want to say hello, Colin.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Looking forward to the webinar.
All right, so let's get started here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up, let me log out of this and get started. So what you're first going to see is the OneCallAccess page. So this is your initial portal to log in. There are two logins. So we're primarily going to be just looking at California today. If you're, there's also a login for our Nevada users. This program basically functions exactly the same. There's a few key differences, and I'll try to be sure to point those out while we're doing the presentation. And the sign up itself is pretty self-explanatory, but we'll go down to here. When you first get this link, you're going to scroll down to sign up here. And it's a typical registration process. I wasn't going to walk completely through it because it's kind of dead air, and it's pretty self-explanatory. You're just filling in name, company name, job position, those type of details, your own password, your own account. You're creating all that to yourself. This is an automated process. Once you send in for it will email you after the fact too, that you'll have to like verify and register yourself as a user. And so we won't dive, like I said, too deep on this part because this is kind of the easy stuff. But that's how you'll create your account. And then let me log into my test account here. Accept the terms and conditions. And boom. All right, and so this is the home page for Pelican, for OCA. Now, a couple things right here that I should note is this is going to track a few different metrics. You're going to have your ticket stats. As you can see, this is going to show trends. It'll show how many tickets you've done throughout the year. To the side, we'll have things like message of the day. We're not going to constantly update this, but we will constantly update it, but we're not going to do it daily. But we'll also post useful things like service announcements and things like that right here. This is your ticket history. So this is where you'll be able to do your ticket search and check out where your tickets are, things like that. We'll get into that a little deeper once we create some tickets together. And then later on, we'll also check out, there's a positive response page, which is really awesome. And I'm excited to show you guys that because it's really useful. But yeah, so we'll start with just creating a ticket because that's really what we want to do. But before we do that, something I wanted to show you guys was the user settings. So if we go up here to the corner, you're going to see a button that says user settings. So what's really neat about this is this has really speeded up the process. I know you guys get sick of constantly having to type in all your information for e-ticket and changing these little things, when a lot of times you're doing the same type of work, or you're, not much is changing, right? So here we're able, if you want, to set up a profile basically. So for my example, I've already went ahead and I'm a landscaper. I'm doing irrigation, that kind of stuff. I mostly do residential property work. I'm typically doing, normal jobs. I'm not doing like rush or, short notice type jobs. So I can set all that up on the front end. So let's go down here and I'll click this. So this is something you're going to notice immediately, right? There's no more free form text. We're not typing in as much things anymore. Now we're really focusing on using these drop downs, okay? And so where's my thing? Here we go. I want to do some residential property work. That's primarily what I'm going to do. Now, if sometimes I'm doing projects that aren't related, that's fine, because every time we create a ticket, we're going to have the ability to adjust all of these settings. So you're not married to it by any means. This is just kind of a workflow thing, right? You're also able to set up your work activity. So this is basically the type of work you're doing. And based on the selection you select here, it'll change the options below, right? So it knows, hey, I've selected residential property work. Well, this is kind of what we see typically. 99.9% of the time, you're going to have that kind of work accessible, right? But for us, we're doing landscaping. Then it goes down to your excavation method. You're going to be able to select that. So most of the time in this hypothetical situation, I'm hand digging stuff, right? Sometimes I might use the mini X, but once again, I can adjust that once I go to create the ticket. This is a new question, right? What is the projected excavation depth? Okay, so we haven't asked this question before. And all of this, by the way, just to preface this, this is great for this data that we're able to collect is really going to help us in creating, a safer California and Nevada, right? That's the goal of this whole thing, is to actually be able to have, quantifiable, usable data so we can, see trends, see what's going on, see communities that might need more outreach and support for education and training, things of that nature. So once again, we're not married to this. We can change this along the way. So if you're looking at this right now going, Christian, this is, oh my goodness, oh, what? We have plenty of time, right? to learn all this kind of stuff. So for this example, I'm going to select 12 to 24 inches. Cool. And then once again, we got another question here. It's a new one. This is, once work begins, what's the projected duration of the project? Give it your best estimate. This is the profile we're setting up. Most of my projects take about a day. I'm doing just simple landscaping projects.
And just to jump in real quick, the depth and duration questions are California specific. Nevada excavators won't see those questions.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, great point. This is just for California, those questions. For the site contact name, pretty self-explanatory. Typically for these projects it's just me, my mobile. How you mark your areas, my customers like flags. I don't use paint for my projects, but you got the different options here. And then we can also fill out these beforehand. I never work in the sidewalk, so I'm putting no, and I never use vacuum excavation, so I put no. And you can also select a language preference. So we'll go ahead and save this. And now we can get into, thank you for all of that. So that was, now we've got that set up. And now when we go to create a new ticket, watch this. Ta-da! We don't have to do that again. That's a big deal, folks, because I can't tell you how frustrating it is. I have to make these tickets over and over, and it's always the same stuff, right? And now if I need to adjust something, I can, right? I can change, oh, today I'm not doing residential property work. Today I'm doing non-residential property work, things of that nature.
Yeah, that's a really nice feature.
Right, yeah, it's a huge time saver. The whole point of using these online tools, right, is to save time. So when the tools we finally have an advanced tool, and it's great. So we're just really excited that it does this. That's why I wanted to show it first, because I love it.
Yeah, it's super cool. You can essentially create 2 profiles. Your first one when you sign up is your personal profile, your name, your company, your contact info, email, all that good stuff. And then the settings is like your job specific profile. But that's totally optional. If your jobs change so much from each ticket, you wouldn't necessarily have to fill that out. But if, like Christian's example, you're a landscaper and your tickets tend to be very similar, that settings template will be great for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I forgot if I mentioned this at the start, but I'm seeing some maybe questions popping up in the chat. There's a Q&A button. I just want to make sure everyone's using the Q&A function, just so we can get to your questions faster and stuff. Some of them I might answer live, it just depends. And at the end of the bulk and meat, I want to get through the meat of this just so there's something to reference on the recording for folks. And at any time, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the Q&A. And then also we'll be providing our contact info. We're going to be doing tons of trainings right before cutover. So if you're looking at this right now and you're nervous, or you're feeling, wow, I've just learned, or maybe you're new to e-ticket, or you're a newer online user, and I just learned this program. Don't worry, this is a really simple program. And once we get to the mapping, I'm excited to show that the most of all, because it's an amazing mapping tool. So let's get to that. So this is already filled out. For this project, this hypothetical, I'm going to be working at a address property. So all of this is fine. So I'm moving down. For this one, I'm going to be going actually a little deeper. We're going to be removing a tree. So probably 48 inches would be good. It's a little tree. I'm not going to be doing any boring, still not using explosives. So this is our work begin date. A lot of you will be similar. It's our 2 working day notice as always. For this project, yeah, it's going to be on Thursday afternoon, so I can start Friday. Yeah, that'll work. I'm just going to leave it as that. You'll notice it gives you the legal start date. You can't modify that. It just shows it to you. It's also going to show you your ticket expiration date right there. You can't touch that either. It just, so that's why you see the little on my mouse, you can see the cursor blocked out. So it says, once work begins, what's the projected duration of the project? Yeah, this one, I had it set for a day, but actually this one we might have to come back out. So I'll put that just in case, right? It's asking if we need a permit for this project. There's no permit required. At least in my knowledge. So here's the job name. So if you're like with PG&E, or used to putting PM numbers, things like that, this is a great place to put those type of things. For this one, I might put a little job name. This is just a note, right, for myself, and so other people can see it as well, right? But for later on, by the way, if you're trying to search, just a sidebar, if you're looking to search in your tickets, once I show you guys how to do that, and if you put a note here, like working the Starbucks, working at 811, when I go to search, I can sort and I can find it with this as well. I tested that, and it's a really cool feature. 811 tree removal. I'm just putting that as a note because it's for me, right? I want to remember when I'm looking at my tickets. Oh yeah, that was this was this. So this question, the project owner or property owner, who's the work for, right? We're going to select from the drop down. If it's for work for utilities like PG&E, Air Energy, Kinder Morgan, those kind of folks, you select that. It's for your cities, you got here. If it's work for the county, if you're doing road work, that type of stuff, maybe you're doing work for the county. But for this, it's a property owner, it's a tenant. So I'm going to select other, and I'm going to go down. Boom, I got some options. Homeowner, property owner, tenant. Okay, perfect. This doesn't need to change. We already did that. So this question, this is a new one also. I want to highlight this. My excavation will only be within the pavement surfaces. When I first saw this, I was confused by it. I was like, what does that mean? My excavation's only in the pavement surfaces. So this question is trying to ask, and this is only for California, Nevada won't have this question. This question is basically asking, is your work at just the surface, or are you penetrating the surface? For most, from a lot of projects, no, right? I'm going to be digging into the ground. But if you're just doing surface grading, saw cutting asphalt, things like that, maybe that would be a yes, right? Can you guys speak to that a little bit better? Would that be correct, Colin or Chris, or did I explain that correct? Because I feel like that's the best explanation. It's stuff that's not going into the ground.
I thought, oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was just determining whether you're only out in the paved area, like the street, or in this actual city-owned sidewalk or something like that.
It's only for work that's happening within the pavement surface itself. So saw cutting, grinding and paving, where the depth of the excavation is only within the pavement surface and the width of the excavation is only within the pavement surface. So only any type of shallow excavation that is a repair of a pothole, a grind and pave, a saw cut, things of that nature, where it only occurs in the pavement surface, nothing deeper than that, and then nothing wider than that onto the sidewalk or other areas.
Perfect. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, Ryan. I forgot to introduce Ryan earlier. That's Ryan, our GM. So thank you so much. That's exactly what I was looking for. So for me, I'm digging out a tree. So no, right? I'm not going to just be within the pavement surface. So let's go next. And now we get into the dig site location. So there's a few different options and ways to search. We'll be showing off all these with the different examples. You can search by street or landmark, right? Intersection or a GPS coordinate. But for our purposes, we know where we're working. We know the address. So we'll put that in. Now, kind of like Google, it pops up. Hey, is this what you mean? Actually, it is. So I'll click that. Wow. Do you see what I'm seeing? A beautiful like Google map, right? Isn't this amazing? When I first saw this, it blew my mind. I was like, oh, wow, we have like a real program for 2022, right?
Yeah, it is a much better looking map than what we were dealing with before.
Yeah, and kind of navigating how to move around the map before we do anything else. You kind of pinch and pull, similar to our current map or Google Maps, right? I use the wheel on my mouse. I can zoom in and out. I could also zoom in and out here. If you're used to e-ticket, our current program, there's no massive options at the bottom with line and all these different things, and that you mostly don't use or know how to use, right? It's pretty simple. Also, there's a little button here. Well, if you don't know how to do anything, which we don't, we're learning, right? So let's click Show Map Instruction. This is giving us a little tool to, hey, draw your dig site accurately on the map using the polygon tool or circle tools. And this is just, yeah, so we don't need to read this part, but yeah, so there's our polygon tool. We have our circle tool. Most of the time, you're going to want to use the polygon tool. In my practice, what I've noticed, if you're doing like maybe wells or pole work, maybe you'll want to use the circle tool just to make that little radius. But what's cool about this is when I click polygon, I'm going to just click around. This is exactly where I'm working, right? And I'm clicking around this tree because this is the one we're removing. What I've just done was I created a box, right? I went ahead and clicked around and I created an exact area of where I'm working. No more of this mapping. In our previous version, this entire area would have been mapped out. We had a 100-foot buffer, had to do all these things. We have a very precise mapping tool now. That's the first main huge difference I want you to notice. We're looking for more accurate drawings of where your work is, because on the ticket, they're going to see this, right? This is a big deal. Now we can have visual. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, why, and just to chime in on what Christian's saying, another reason why this is huge is we anticipate this helping locators respond to your tickets even faster. As Christian noted, right now, if you do an address location, a lot of the stuff works on parcel mapping, and you might put that the work's in front of the address or the rear of the address or the east side, for example, but the mapping itself that gets drawn is the entire parcel. And so the utilities, until they actually roll a truck and respond to that site and put eyes on the site itself and see your white markings, oftentimes don't know exactly where the work's being done in the front or in the rear or on the east side, for example. They know a general area. So this new electronic white lining tool, or this tool that allows you to draw very specifically where your work is being done, so you can outline the pole that's being replaced. You could draw the trench line in the parking lot where you're doing the work. This now sends them an image that shows them exactly where the work is being done before they even respond to the site. So we anticipate that this new ability to draw very accurately the extents of where your work are is going to have a huge improvement on the response times from the members and their ability to know whether or not that work actually impacts any of their facilities or not, and if they need to roll a truck or if they can let you know that the site is clear based on that. So take advantage of this. I know it's a new tool, and it's going to take some time for everybody to get used to doing it this way versus the way we've always done it, but this is a really powerful tool that'll hopefully start speeding up responses if you're able to do this really accurately.
Yeah, well said. I mean, this is what we're here for, guys. This is the revolution. So also, I'm not detailing it today. This works on mobile. We also have an app rolling out on iOS and Android. I've tested on just my iPhone. It does work. Still use on my computer for now, but you can it can be done on mobile, which you really could not. If you're used to Newtin and our old e-ticket tool, it couldn't be done. So this is the game changer. So let's keep going, right, with our example. So we're clicking next. Now, every time it's going to ask you to confirm the dig site. Sometimes this address might change, right? A lot of times it will too, or not all the time, but sometimes this will change. We have a reverse geocoding system. So let's say you're mapping in the street here. It might say, hey, it's in front of this address here, right? So if you notice that, that's what that is. But I'm confirming this detail. Yep, I am at 4005 Port Chicago. It is in Concord. It's going to ask for that cross street. And we got, look, I'm zooming out. Okay, I got Arnold Industrial. So again, punch that in. If you're working a subdivision name or lot numbers, things like that, you have a space to fill in that information here. You can see that. But I don't, so I'm going to skip it.
So Christian,
Yeah.
about the address changing. So if I understand correctly, what you're saying is you might think the work that you have in the street is in front of, say, 4005 Port Chicago Highway.
Sure.
But because the mapping system does a reverse geocode, it might say, well, actually, it's really more closely tied to this other address, and it might change that address on you in that field. But it's nothing to worry about because you still have your accurate polygon, correct?
Correct. Thank you. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was trying to touch on. If you notice that changing, don't be scared. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Ryan, what's up? Thanks for raising your hand. I like that.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to lower my hand. Apologies.
Oh, okay. I like that little feature. That's cool. All right, so we're gonna still need a written description of where the work's at. This is a catch-all just to make sure, hey, where are you working? Do you know where you're working? It's a way that we can verify, and it's also useful for locators, right? So work in front of the building.
And you may have noticed that some of the fields have a red asterisk and others don't. The red asterisk indicates required fields. So not all fields are required, such as the subdivision name. But if you've got a red asterisk, you've got to fill that one out.
Correct. Thank you, Ariel. Thank you. All right, so I've got my additional details in here. If you're used to the locate box on e-ticket, it's the same thing. The work 280 feet northeast, all that kind of stuff, and we'll get into that. But this is a simple address location, right? So we're just working in front of the building in the planter. We know exactly which planter, right? Amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and check this box. This is a confirmation. You can read it kind of at your own leisure. It's just basically saying, hey, I'm verifying that this is where I'm working. Private lines, by checking this box, you're understanding, hey, not all, sometimes there's lines that aren't owned by our utility operators. If you feel maybe you're doing a project in your backyard or something like that, some of those lines are private lines, or you're going to need to get those located. And we do have a link to private line locators as well. And that's just you acknowledging that fact, right? And then we're going down, and we're going to go and submit this. Ta-da! It's always good when something works, right? It's always fun when things just go, right? And then if you look over to the left, so you have your typical disclaimers you might hear when you make a phone call to 811. This is probably what you would hear if you're calling in, but you guys are smart. You're not doing that. You're doing it online. There's a link to our website here, just typical disclaimer stuff. And then to the left here, you can re-verify all your ticket details. Kind of a nice thing to do. Maybe you might catch something, especially if you're plowing through tickets. Maybe you've got like 60 tickets you have to submit or something. You're going through. Always a good idea to check. Hey, did I make sure to change all my stuff? Am I is this accurate? Yeah, it looks good. Because if I need to, you can always make it an amendment there. But we'll get into that later, right? But yeah, this looks good. So I'm about to move on. Before I do though, so after you've submitted a ticket, within a couple minutes, not immediately, but within a few minutes, and you'll get an email confirmation, right, with your ticket info and all that kind of stuff. Over to the left here, hasn't loaded up just yet, but what will happen is you'll get a picture of what you just drew on your map and stuff like that. So we'll be able to, in just a moment here, if I go up to, this is, here we go, perfect. So the map's now loaded up. Now, if I'm the type of person who likes to not just rely on my email, or maybe I'm having the email sent to the admin person, the way I have my profile set up, it all goes to them, but I want to copy too, and I just want to make sure I'm doing it along the way. If you go up here to actions, okay, we can ignore this for now. This is where you'll do your amendments, no responses, renewals, and all that kind of stuff. But if you see this, we're going to scroll down a little bit to the very bottom. It says download confirmation sheet. Let's click that together, huh? And let's look at a ticket. Ta-da! This is exciting, right? Look, this is a ticket. You don't have to, you're not reading some, coded instruction right now. When I look at this ticket, I can clearly see exactly where the project's at. It gives me all the pertinent information about who made the ticket, all that here. You have, all of your information that you filled out here. You can scroll down a little bit into the second page. You're going to have your members listed here. If there's more than like, I think 7 members, if you go down to the very bottom, it'll have all the members listed out. So make sure you check that as well. But this will get emailed to you every time, right? This is your ticket copy. But like I said, if you want, you can download the ticket as well once it's finished loading up. Does anyone want to make any comments about the ticket output side or anything like that before I move on? Because I think this is a kind of a game changer in a lot of ways, because currently you'd get a ticket, you have to, okay, let me load this into Newtin so I can see what I'm like looking at with a map and stuff. This is great having the map on the ticket. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's beautifully laid out. And then once you take an action on it and renew it, you'll see right on this, right in that box there where Christian's pointing out your ticket action reasons, such as renewal and so forth. And you can see under excavator remarks, that was your location description. So it's really clear and easy to read.
Yeah, it's just a much better looking system, I think, definitely. Okay, so we've now, just going back to the agenda to make sure we're hitting all the notes, we've created our account, we've set up a user profile, our user settings, and now we're going to keep making some tickets here. Sorry, my Zoom controls are in the way right now. Okay, cool. So I'm back to my page. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new ticket for you guys. And we're doing a really similar project. We're doing some more, we're doing some drip irrigation. We're fixing some stuff at the local Starbucks in Port Chicago. So once again, it's a property owner, so we don't have to change that. We're still doing a normal ticket, same type of work. Love this. This project, we're going to actually be going a little, it's just kind of not as deep. We're not removing any trees or shrubs or anything like that. We're just fixing some drip line. So I'm doing less than 12 inches. Not doing any boring, still not using explosions. And this project, we're actually going to do it on Saturday. So I can adjust the time here. We'll go out there at 8 a.m. You'll notice it changes the legal start date, right? Okay, and this project, this will be less than a day for sure. I still don't think I need any permit for this work. Maybe I do. I'll check with my admin later. So I'll put unknown actually. This is Starbucks. irrigation fix. Okay. For project owner, once again, this is that question asking, ultimately who's the work for. This is once again a property owner. I'm not going to be out there this time on Saturday. Frank's going to be out there. Actually, Chris Botting is going to be out there. I'm sending Chris out on Saturday morning at 8. He's going to love that.
Thanks, man.
You're so welcome. I'll change his phone number there. And on this one, we actually are using paint and flags. So are we going to be in the sidewalk or park strip? No. And once again, is my excavation only within the pavement surfaces? It's not. We're going into the ground. And we're not using a vacuum truck. Okay, so for this example, I'm not using an address. I'm just we're going to use this is called like a landmark location, right? So I'll show you how to do it incorrectly, and then I'll show you how to do it correctly, right? So I'll just type Starbucks Concord. No results found. What the heck? Well, it's not. There's a bunch of Starbucks in Concord, so it's not going to pull it up exactly. So the more information I can feed this thing, the more accurate it's going to get. So let me space out a little bit. Well, this Starbucks on Port Chicago Highway also in Concord. Oh, is that it? And I click there. That is it. That's exactly what I want. This is the Starbucks off Port Chicago that I was looking for, and that's exactly where I'm working. So this is another way you guys can search locations, right? Let's say we want to find do we come up as well? I thought we did. Oh, maybe it's 811. Is that how we are listed? USA 811. There
Might
we
be,
go.
yeah, USA North 811.
Yeah. Oh, 811 USA. Look.
There we are.
And then it pops us up. So that's always good, right? So it's kind of a cool feature. The more information you can feed the system about your location, the street name you're on typically, or something like that, the more useful this becomes. But for our example, let's go back to that Starbucks off Port Chicago. And it fills it out. Found it. I'm gonna click it. Okay, cool. So on this project, I'm doing something similar. We're going in here in this planter strip. We got to fix some irrigation and stuff. So I'm clicking my polygon tool. I need this whole thing. I'm not sure if we're going to get in over here, but I'm going to mark it just in case because we might go as far as there. And I'm clicking out and back, and I complete my box. Something important when you're making these shapes, you have to complete the shape, right? You have to go back to that start point. That's how it works, right? To complete your polygon. Let's zoom out. Yeah, that's perfect. That's going to work.
So Christian, that sounds like I didn't have an address and I didn't have any distances and directions off some intersection or anything. It seems like the polygon really is what it's all about here in this instance.
Yeah, absolutely. So before, right, you'd have to have that you'd have to have the exact location basically nailed down perfectly. And there was, and then sometimes the streets wouldn't pop up, right? Because we were not using Google Maps, we're using this different mapping system. So now if you have a landmark or a GPS or things like that, you can get the map up, which is the most important thing. And then now I can zoom out a little bit, because when I go to confirm my dig site, it still wants to know the cross street. We still need that same information, but now it's easier to get to that information, right? So when I'm zooming out here and it wants to know that cross street, it's no big deal. I can just look at this Google map, right? Oh, East Olivera Road, right? Next. And it's the same thing. So, we still need to put where the work's located. So, this is kind of on the northeast side of property. And I'm going to be a little bit more specific, adjacent to Port Chicago Highway. I don't need to put all that, but I'm going to put it for the sake of the locators, right? But they can also just see exactly where I'm working. So we're stressing this so much because this is like kind of a aha like moment. This is so cool to me. What's up, Ryan?
And just to kind of jump in on that a little bit more, we think the future of where 811 is going is that eventually you'll get to the point of where this accurate drawing that you're doing, where you're showing them exactly where the work's being done, that's all that you will need to provide in the future. At some point, who knows how long it's going to take to get the industry there, and not the dig site details. But for now, just like you guys do now, it's always the best case scenario if you provide as much detail as possible, like Christian did here. You could say like in front of the Starbucks, right? And that coupled with this drawing is accurately showing where it's at, plus the white paint in the field. However, the more detailed, the more information you can provide is always better for the locators. And ultimately, you guys are always waiting to make sure you can get those locates, to make sure you get them done on time so you can start your job on time. And the best way to do that is just to be as accurate and provide as much information as possible, like we said, so those people know what the impact is and how they need to respond to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for chiming in on that, Ryan. That's exactly right. This is just to speed things up. I could have just put northeast side of property, and it would be fine. Plus, with the picture, you got it. I'm just putting that in there because it was, to me, it was more correct. But there's, it's a gray area. You can kind of do it how you want. And we're going to get into more detailed description for these non-address locations for doing your distances and stuff. So if you're kind of concerned about that, like, hey, I don't do any address property irrigation work, Christian. We're doing pole lines. We're doing this kind of stuff. We're getting into it. We're getting there. So let's go ahead and check these boxes. Yep, I'm confirming and moving through it. Cool. And similar thing. Now, if you go to your actions right now, let's say you're mowing through these and you're like, I'm not waiting for the emails. My emails go to the admin person. I'm going to action. I'm trying to download the confirmation. What the heck? The guy showed me the thing. He's doing it wrong. It just has to wait. Once this image loads up, then you can download it. So if you get that error, that's what that is, because I did that earlier a lot. So let me go to, let's do a little sidebar real quick. Just doing ticket after ticket maybe is a little monotonous. So exiting out of here, let's see what we've done so far. We can look here, and now we're starting to see some things on our ticket stats page. Okay, now we've done 3 tickets, cool. And also it's nice is I got my recent history here, and I'm able to see, any recent actions I've taken on my account. So right now I'm just creating tickets, but if I were to do amendments, renewals, things like that, those will also show up. And then I won't get into showing history just yet. We'll wait to the end and I'll take care of that then. But yeah, I just wanted to sidebar real quickly just to show you, hey, if you need to go back, oh shoot, that I do have a permit. Oh crud, let me go do, you can go and we can fix that, right? And this is where your recent tickets are going to be located. But to keep us on track, we're going to go ahead and now create a non-address ticket just to show that as well. And by the way, so I didn't explain this earlier. If you look at these little question marks, and these are in each of the sections, if you click this, it breaks down the different questions, right? So if you're unsure, if you're doing a short notice ticket, right, 99% of the time you guys are doing normal tickets, but if you're unsure of a ticket type, or if you're an ag worker, you guys are doing, planting an orchard, something like that, you want to do an ag ticket, things like that. There's definitions for all these things. You got your type of work activities, excavation methods, things like that. Ryan, did you have a question or a comment?
I just was going to make a note, not to cut you off, but we're getting a lot of questions about sharing tickets and if people will be able to share tickets across other users from their same organization. There is a share ticket feature that is in testing right now that will be ready for the launch on 12/16. That will allow you to, you can kind of think of it like a Facebook friending feature, if you will, just to oversimplify it. But basically it'll allow you to find users that you want to share your tickets with, and you can create that connection so that you guys can share tickets back and forth. With that share ticket feature, you'll be able to choose if you want it to be read only. Like, let's say you have somebody in your organization, they just want to see the tickets that you've done, but you don't want them to be able to actually take any actions on it. You can choose that, or you can choose to give them full read write privileges. And that comes in handy if somebody's on vacation or they're out sick, for example, another person in the organization. that they have their tickets shared with have the ability to take actions on those tickets as well. So that's in testing right now, but that will be ready for go live on the 16th.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Yeah, I know that's a feature everyone needs and wants. So we're on it. Also, just a quick note, this is like a kind of a pre-production before go live. So there are some updates, things like that, that'll be pushed before, go live, right? So I'll close this out now, but I just wanted to make sure to show that. Yeah, hey, Ryan.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I love it. I want this. This is exactly what I want.
We have a mixture of users in here, some from Nevada and some from California. And there has been some questions about, is there going to be a specific Nevada training or a specific California training, or how we're handling this? So the system for Nevada and California is almost identical, aside from a couple questions, which Christian did point out. Those excavator depth and excavator duration and things like that are the ones that are not in Nevada. But the system, how it looks, how it functions, how you do it is exactly the same as Christian showing you here. The big thing that is going to be a difference also is that the system for California and Nevada are completely different systems now. So there'll be a specific web link just for the Nevada system and a specific web link for the California system. And we'll make sure to make those call outs on our website when we go live and when we send out the information. But no longer will there be one system where you have to choose if you're in California or Nevada. There's a specific system link now based on the state in which you're submitting your ticket. So we'll have more information on that, but just make sure that everybody understands that.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's set the stage for this one. Doing a project for the city of Brentwood. So we're not doing a still normal notice ticket. The type of work, though, is going to change because it's not a residential property owner. It's for a local municipality. So let me go ahead and click this. Let me go down. So this is going to be non-residential property work. And so our work activity, collect that. So let's go down. We're going to be doing a whole new land hardscape project off of Balfour. So let me go down. Yeah, landscape, same type of work, but we're going to be changing a few things here. Our excavation method is going to change too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's up, Ryan? Hey.
Oh, forgot to lower my hand. Sorry.
It's all good. And then for the excavation method, I'm still going to be hand digging, but for this one, we're going to pull out the Mini X. So I'm going to put that because that's the bigger tool I'm using. So I want to make sure they know I'm bringing out the mini excavator for this. Gonna be all over the place. Just to be on the safe side, I think we're going to go as low as 48 inches. Still not going to do any boring. Still not going to be using explosives. And on this one, we're going to do this next Tuesday. We're going to be out there at 6 a.m. And this project, this one might take, I'm going to put longer than 31 days because it might, but if I need it, like I said, this is the best of your ability you can answer this. If you go out there and they go, hey, that only took you 8 to 14 days, no one's going to do that, right? This question, and once again, this is another one of those, it's just for California. So if you're in Nevada, this is not one of the questions you have to answer. Do you have a permit? For this one, we do. It's going to be with the city. Permit number is going to be something probably like BLD B Wood 2022, right? Okay. And then I'll put a job name. And like I said, later on, I'll be able to use these for my search functions. It's one of the ways you can search is by job name, which is kind of cool. Balfour. All right, so project owner for this one, because it's for the city of Brentwood, I'm gonna go down to municipality. You'll notice my options have changed. Now I have all the different cities. I'll be the foreman on this. Perfect, perfect. We'll do paint and flags. We're still not gonna go in the street. We're not working at the surface. We're going into the ground, so I'm answering no. No vacuum. Next. Okay, so for this location, I'm actually going to use an intersection to find it, okay? So I'm going to click this. And I'll select intersection. A couple of notes about if you're using the intersection location, what I've noticed, you want to get the syntax correct, right? If it's Balfour Road, you're going to need to put that in. You're not, if you just do Balfour, sometimes it would work, but for me, you're going to want to put the entire syntax in. So Balfour Road. Yeah, Ryan, hey.
Sorry, I'm becoming a broken record here.
I love it. No, you're the guy, right? I love it. This is perfect.
So one thing that I just wanted to point out, we're working with Pelican on development of a new lookup tool that will work just like Google Maps does. As we've made some comments in the chat, or excuse me, in the QA, that this whole system is built off of Google Maps for the mapping. And all of you know, if you've used Google Maps, when you go there, there's just a single lookup bar, and you can type in an address, you can type in a point of interest, you can type in an intersection. It just uses one lookup, and it will find information, or it'll provide you suggestions if it can't find it, for example. So we're actually working with the Pelican team right now on utilizing a different API through Google that'll allow us to do the same thing here. So these different lookup types that Christian is showing you, this is how the system will launch today. And it's important to pay attention to some of these details he's pointing out. But we're hoping in the future that the new way that we're going to do things is there'll just be a single search bar there, and you can type in all kinds of different locations, and it'll take you there, or it'll suggest, hey, did you mean this? So we're already looking at ways to make improvements to the system that'll make it easier for you. But for now, like Christian said, be as specific as possible with the information, just to make sure you're getting accurate results.
Yeah, and especially with like the intersection one in my testing, that's what I've noticed. But yeah, like what Ryan was saying, the system's evolving along with us, right? If you notice with like Newtin, for example, significant changes basically did not happen with that tool. This is good. This is a different relationship with a different developer with this new product we're using with you guys. So our expectations are along with you guys. We want tools that work well and that can evolve with us, right? So okay, so let's get going with this. So we got Balfour Road. This is where the work's going to be taking place. So I'm zooming out. There's East Country Club. I put Brentwood. I didn't need to do that, but I did it just to be more specific, and the map popped up perfectly. So I'm going to break some things on this one just so you can see some of the errors you guys are going to get, because when I first used the polygon tool, I didn't do it correctly. So I'm still going to use the polygon tool, but I'm going to mess up a little bit. So I'm clicking around. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. Shoot, what do I do? Now this thing's just moving around. Right. That is not what I wanted. How do I fix this? There's a couple ways. One, you can just click polygon again, and you can go and create exactly what you wanted to. Or right here, you have this little trash can. If you just click that, it'll clear out the drawing you just did, right? And it'll also, if you have any measurements on the screen, we'll show you how to do that in just a second. It'll clear that out as well. But for this example, I want to work this area here. Maybe in the future, this is some foreshadowing, we might end up working all here, but for right now, we're just working down here, okay? So I'm going to select the polygon tool, and I want to be more accurate. So I'm going to zoom in with my wheel. I'm going to click along this, right? I'm going to zoom out a little bit. You'll notice too, so right now on Newtin, you can use the arrow keys to map around. For this, you like I said, you have to pinch and pull, right? So sometimes you might make, when you're pinching and pulling, I do this, you might click and, oh, I didn't want to do that. If you just press escape, oh, that clears the whole thing. That's good to know. I was gonna say, you can either press escape, but that clears out the whole thing, or if your last point was wrong when you were just pulling yourself, there's a little nifty button that says delete last point, right? So click in and drag.
That's great. That looks a lot more user-friendly than the drawing tool we've been working with.
Exactly, and it just makes sense. Also, there's another trick I'll show in a little bit, but for now, we're just working this part of this project, right? Later on, we might be working further down, but for now, we're just doing this. Yeah, Ryan, what's going on, bud?
Hey, so this is a good example of, the aerial Google Maps mapping is really awesome, right? Because you can see all of the landmarks, you can see where you're working, but you notice that in that section where the trees are, you kind of lose the definition of where that curb line is. And you'll notice this even more when you get to larger cities like downtown San Francisco.
Oh yeah, I'll
Sometimes
show
the
them that. That'll be
okay.
good.
Yeah, sometimes the projection of the satellite imagery cut and they have some of those tall buildings like Salesforce Tower that will cut off view of the road itself. So using the layers, as Christian just turned on, you can always turn on the hybrid or even just the street view that will help you in those cases make sure that you're following the correct path that you're trying to follow.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. Yeah. And I'll show the Salesforce thing after I do this ticket. That's a good one because that's a more because the bill, like he's saying, tall cities, you'll see the Salesforce Tower is huge, right? So it gets really hard to maintain definition of your lines. But if you change the layer to the street view, boom. And that might actually work good because I now know, right? I'm working just between the median. But I'm gonna still leave it on hybrid. So this looks good. This is what I want for this project. So we'll go to next. So you'll notice it's asking me to confirm the dig site. Even though I already put in that intersection, it wants to confirm, hey, is this where you are? So we're gonna go ahead and type that out. This is like Ryan had mentioned earlier, this is also subject to evolve in the future. But for now, this is how we're gonna do these. So I'm putting in Balfour Road. The cross street is still East Country Club Drive. Going next. And so for this one, this is kind of one of those locations we're more familiar with where, okay, I'm not working in a property. So where's our distance tool? How do we know our measurements? Things like that. Well, here, got our ruler. And we'll play around with it a little bit, okay? So I really like this ruler in the fact that it adds your measurements together. You can see as I'm moving around, it's showing a couple things. You'll notice the bearings changing. So it shows you the angle. It also shows you in miles and feet. So it looks like the start point of our project is about 200 feet. So I'll click there, approximately 200 feet, 215 feet. So I put that in my description, right? And a lot of you are pros and you know exactly how to do this. Might help if I type it correctly, right? Starting at a point approximately 200 feet west of intersection. And let's see how far we extend. So now if you look at, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm trying to go slowly here. If you're watching this, you see that little plus? So it's telling me, hey, as I'm moving, it's giving me the total measurement to the left. On the right side in the parentheses, you'll see that that's the measurement, right? So it's going about approximately 290, about 300 feet, right? So I'm gonna put that. Starting at a point approximately 200 feet west of intersection, extend 300 feet west. And I'm gonna want like a 10-foot path, right? That's about that. And then you'll notice I've got all these measurements now, and I'm like, I want to measure this. Well, how do I do that? If you just press escape, it'll stop that measurement. So now that one's there still. So if I need to, I can click the point, or I can, if I go to the point, it'll show me what that total measurement was, right? And if I go back to my distance tool, I can make another measurement. So I want to know how deep. Oh, so if I have about a 15-foot swath, that should be good. And include 15-foot swath for the entire distance. There's multiple ways to write this. This is how I wrote it. And yeah, so that would work for this. And this looks good. I'm checking, boom, and I'm submitting. So what are we liking about this? You guys excited? Are we enjoying the new map? Because that's kind of the main feature, right? Is you're getting really accurate dig sites for once. So to me, it's just been a major game changer. I'm gonna click on the QA just to see what you guys are asking. This is amazing. This looks great. That's what I'm talking about. Thanks everybody. Everyone's still here, about 267, 269 participants. This is awesome. Wow, you guys have answered 75 questions. Holy smokes.
It's like a rapid fire in the Q&A chat right now.
Yeah, this is great. Keep them coming. Make them work, guys. Thank you. Awesome.
There've been some really great questions too. So this has been a really good webinar so far.
Yeah, any questions you guys want to bring up before I just move on to the next ticket? We're doing great on time right now. I got one more ticket example I want to show, and then I'm going to break into doing some secondary ticket actions.
On that other ticket example, somebody just asked if you could demonstrate the circle tool. Can you do that on the next ticket?
That's what I'm doing on the next one. Check that
Using
out.
GPS, right, Christian?
On my GPS one, yeah.
Awesome, yes.
I am doing that one, guys. I love it. Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me get my GPS. So got my little notes here. Okay, so leave them there for now.
Is everybody going to have notes like that? Even the just regular users? Is that just a special thing you have, Christian?
It's just special for me, baby. No, that's my little sticky pad notes. So yeah, always have notes, folks. It's helpful. Okay.
Excellent.
I'm keeping it all, these are all normal tickets, right? I'm not doing any short notice tickets today. Someone in our trial warm up, someone said it perfectly. 99% of the time you're doing a normal ticket, and if you're doing a short or emergency ticket, it, right? So I'll leave it at that. Type of work. So this one, we are doing a well. So I'm gonna look for, oh, they're perfect. Well work. There it is. Look at that. It's surprising when you think something won't be there, and then you're like, oh, it's got that too. You guys really thought of everything. It's there. So we're gonna be using, let's see, some kind of auger. Yeah, truck mounted auger. This one is definitely going deeper than 84 inches, right? And yes, boring, not using explosives on this one. And the 2 working day notice works great. This one is going to take about a week. We do have permits, but they're unknown right now. Golf course 12. And this is for a property owner. Ryan, you're being so helpful with all your commentary. I'm going to put you as the foreman on this one, okay? I'm going to put you out there.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah, I should have put you out there at 6 a.m., right? All right, and we're gonna have paint for this one. Nope, and moving on. So for this location, we're gonna be using XY coordinates. When you guys get it, it might have its flip-flop. We put that ask in, but you'll notice the long is first, which is a little wonky. But so I'll make sure to put that in there. So I've got my GPS, putting my long in.
Just one thing to note on this, I might have missed it.
Sure.
Christian, I apologize, but you'll notice that the first one you want to put in is the longitude, and the second one you put in is the latitude.
Yep.
And so usually when we say lat long, it's the reverse of that. But then in the coordinate system, X coordinate always comes first. So we kind of went back and forth with the developers about that. Long story short, that might change in the future, but just pay attention to make sure that you're putting in the coordinates in the right place. And you'll notice that it says X coordinate, and then it says long next to it to let you know that's the longitude. So if you're always entering the negative one first, you'll be good to go.
Yeah. It's, you know what I think is because our developers are Australian, and you know how the toilets go backwards there. I think it's just like kind of, opposite. I think that's what it is.
I think you're right. I think it's the same thing as the toilet.
Yeah, it's the same thing. They have giant spiders to worry about.
Different physics there.
It's different physics. They're like, dude, we have spiders that are like, 4 feet long, so we can't worry about so I get it. I understand. So yeah, this is our time to do a circle, right? We're doing a well with a radius of about, 20 feet I want to have covered. So I'm going to click the circle, and then I want to put my point here. So this is a click and drag type. You'll notice the little tooltip pops up and says it too. It says click and drag. So this is going to be the origin point for my radius. And as I'm holding it, right? I'm holding my mouse with the left. I have it clicked right now, right? I have it held. And as I'm moving it, it says release mouse to finish drawing. So I'm creating a radius, 50 feet, 40 feet. So I want about a 20-foot radius. So I'm sizing it back down. Perfect. Okay, next. So with these type of locations also, we still want to know your closest intersection, right? Because we're going to define it that way as well, right? We still want to know that reference point and how far is it to get to that, that GPS point. So we're going to zoom out because I don't know. So let's zoom out. Okay, we got Port Chicago, so we can use that. And what else do we got? We need an intersection. Okay, we got Highway 4. That's pretty major, so let's use that. Next. And so now it's going to ask us to define this. So I'm going to take a measurement from the center here to get to my my point. So let me click here, clicking my distance tool because I want to get this measurement. Now I'm zooming in. What is kind of cool, I don't know how to really explain this, but as I move my mouse to this and I zoom in, it zooms into that, right? Where my mouse is placed, if I want to zoom in over here, it zooms in there. So I think that's just really cool. It's just intuitive. So that's exactly my point. So I'm clicking the center. So it's about 2,300 feet northeast. So working a point approximately 2,300 feet northeast of intersection. I'll put a note at the end of it, right? Working point about 2,300 feet northeast of the intersection, include a 20-foot radius, and I'll put a comma, and work is located within the, what's this golf course named again? Diablo Creek Golf Course.
Hey, Christian, just real quick.
Yes.
I noticed you're still on the measuring tool. I believe if you double click on that last point, it'll stop doing that as well. If people are just wondering
Oh, you're right. Yep.
Why the measurement is still following you around.
Sorry about that. Yeah, if you just double click, it finishes the measurement. Yeah. So work's located within the Diablo Creek Golf Course. You don't need to put that point, but little things like that do help, right? So yeah, that's looking good. I'm checking the box. So yeah, the circle tool is relevant for these little radiuses, or maybe you're doing a pole line, maybe your Osmo is doing 6,000 poles, right? So using your circle tool might be a great one for that, versus trying to draw a circle with your little polygon. So you have the two different functions. I should note, I guess this would be a good time to do it. This is this edit layers button. So if you need to, you can actually adjust this. So any point you've created, you can move it. So if you need to do that and you don't want to just redraw, maybe let's clear it real fast to show you what I'm talking about. So let's say you're drawing a polygon. Just want to showcase this because it's kind of cool. If you say, oh, one of these points is a little off once I'm zoomed in, let's say you made it from up top and like, oh, now I get closer. You don't have to redraw the whole thing. If you click this edit layers, it'll show you all your points. You can actually click and drag that out, which is just kind of neat. And it's showing you the different, pretty awesome. So, and if you see that, it's giving you the area, you see all the measurements added together. But I just wanted to show that because I forgot to earlier. So let me go ahead. Oh yeah, what's up, Ryan?
Hey, just after you're done with this one location, I know you wanted to show some other things, but we've had several questions, several questions about tickets that are in new development areas. And so several people, we've been asking people to provide an example. Joe actually provided an example in the Q&A. And so we were just wondering if we can look that up. The one thing I will say to our friends down in the Las Vegas and Clark County area, we are working with Southwest Gas right now to get preliminary parcel and address information. Usually the people that have the information the fastest are the gas companies because they lay their infrastructure before most others do. So before the city or the county or anybody else has it, the gas company typically has all that information. And so we're working with Southwest Gas to get access to their preliminary mapping that we will include as a layer. So that hopefully will eliminate a lot of the issues with seeing the newer areas in the Las Vegas, Clark County area. For the other areas of Nevada and California, we are working with other gas companies to try and do the same. But for now, we've only been able to kind of successfully work with Southwest Gas to kind of get that put in place. So
I like that example. So let's do one. So I'm upgrading. I'm not landscaping anymore, baby. We're grading. We're leveling the site. We're doing prep work. The business is evolving. We're doing such a good job with our landscaping, irrigation, and hardscaping. We're getting the tap right. Here we go. So let's see. We got our grader. We're going to be grading an area. I'm sure the experts are looking at this. Why are you going 24 to 48 inches? You fool. That's too deep of a grade. So just for, I'll kind of go through this quickly. This will be a 2-week project. We are going to have a permit, but I don't got it right now, but later on I can add it and I'll show you guys how to do that. So for this example, this will be great. So it's going to be a city permit, but right now I don't know it. So we'll have to adjust that later on. And then this is going to be this will be for a land developer. So it's a great question, right? Oh, what if it's for a property, a land developer? Here you go. So it even has it specifically. Is it for residential subdivision, a mixed use, or non-residential? So for our example, we'll do residential subdivision. Say no. Bring a little deeper with our grading. All right, so there's a couple different, we now know a few different ways to, find a location like this, right? We could do a landmark, we could look it up by the street. So maybe I'll do one near and dear to my heart. So Discovery Bay, California. I'll do my old farmland that I used to work at. So this is where I used to farm. So let's say this becomes, this is gonna be a residential community, okay? So if you wanted to do that, let's just say for the sake of keeping it simple, they're just going to develop these parcels here, right? So if I want to do that, I'm going to click my polygon tool. And within our, our max distance range, right, our half mile, that we can create this project, right? And even if we need to go, let's say we want to develop this whole area, right? You can do that as well. There's a function called continue ticket, or you can copy the ticket and just continue on your work. So if you're like annoyed of the half mile rules and stuff like that, well, there's a pretty easy way to work with that. But for this ticket, we're just doing this right now. So I'm zooming out and I got to complete my box. So this will be the start of our subdivision, right? And it's similar, right? We still need to have our street. So we've got Highway 4 there, California 4. It looks like our nearest cross street is Western Farms Ranch Road. And this subdivision name is going to be Discovery Bay, but better, right? And this is going to be going right next to it. And so for this project, let's get our dimensions now. So so for folks, there's multiple ways to define this. You can define this with boundaries, right? How we typically, you can say, oh, we're bounded. If you're in a community, let's say you got streets all over, this is kind of a one where you might just define it by dimensions because it's easy. But if you're in, a subdivision like here, maybe you'd have a boundary like Clubhouse Drive on the south and Gateway Court if extended on the north, things like that. If you're familiar with that method. For this example, because we're we don't have boundaries really, right? We're just using dimensions. We'll define it that way. So, hey Ryan, what's up? Ryan, you raised your hand.
Sorry, I was talking to myself. Hey, some people are asking about this cool new feature that allows you to do multiple tickets if you have to split them up. So we've been answering about the new continue feature in the chat, but maybe after you do this one, let's assume that this subdivision extends farther north. Yes. So maybe after this ticket, show them where the continue button is at and then how we move forward from there.
I love it. That's what I'm talking about, folks. Okay. So let's draw our dimensions here. So yep, we're going 1,300 feet north approximately. This should have been a better box, and I'll fix that. By 3,000 feet east, right? 3,100 feet east. Okay. And I want to edit this. This is a little wonky of a box. Oh, by the way, I gotta click that, right? Oh, that's cool. Oh, whoa. I didn't mean to do what I just did, but that was cool. You can split. We're discovering new things all the time. That was cool. I'm not exactly sure what I just did. That was a neat little thing. So if I go to edit layers, I want to drag this guy up a little bit to make my box a little more less wonky. That looks good. So I'll save that. Okay, cool. And for these type of tickets, starting at a point, let's measure get to the start point. Will be accurate. I'll be accurate here. So about starting approximately 150 feet northeast of intersection, go 1,300 feet north and include 3,000 feet east for entire distance. That's one way to say it. You can say work area within, but yeah, so I've just basically said, I've just created a box, 1,300 feet north by 3,000 foot east for entire distance, right? So I'm checking the box, checking here. That's a good example. Oh, I know. So you're noticing it's not clicking, and it's giving us a little error message here. I go back. What happened was when I cleared out earlier, it clears out sometimes the confirmation, right? If you've adjusted the map or you've deleted things during that confirmation part of the ticket, sometimes it'll clear out the streets. So if you're noticing that, hey, I'm getting an error, just press back and go up to the confirm dig site thing. I did that on purpose. So this is how good I am at doing this. I did that. I was all by design. Let's do California, Oregon, and Western Farms Ranch Road. Next, great, and submit. So we want to do this whole area, right? We're going to get into, so we've now done all the ticket examples, +1. What's up, Ryan?
Sorry, just somebody else asked previously about the ticket number and if they have to wait to get the confirmation to see their ticket number. And so as Christian's highlighting there, your ticket number will be up in the top left-hand corner of this confirmation screen. And just one thing to point out, and probably you guys have already noticed it, there is no longer an X or a W attached to the tickets anymore. Every ticket will start in the year that the ticket was completed. So you'll see for right now we're at 2022. So the ticket will start with 2022. And then just to kind of easily show you through the rest of the ticket, it goes month and then day. So you'll see today is the 15th of November. So the ticket starts with 2022, 11 for November, and then 15 for the day. And then there are 5 digits following that. And the tickets will sequentially count up at that point. So the ticket that Christian just did was the 10th ticket that was submitted today. So there is some thought behind the new ticket number and how it's structured. And that will also come in handy for you guys. If you're looking for a particular ticket and you're having a hard time finding it, you can look at those first digits on the ticket number and instantly maybe sort through your paper tickets or whatever and know if it's for that day that you're looking for as well.
That actually provides a lot of useful information at a glance. It's not just a random ticket number, generated sequentially based on whatever. This is actually a lot of the info is right there in the number itself. I like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for putting that out there, Ryan. I didn't even realize that till just now, actually. I remember you had mentioned it, and now I'm looking. I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. It's all there. Okay, cool. So we're going to kind of ease into the secondary ticket actions, and we'll start with the most popular one, which is you guys want to know how to do a continue ticket, which is great. You use this when you're creating a project that's bigger than the half-mile restriction, right? So you're going to see it's basically what it's just done when I clicked continue. Just to slow myself down here, it's just recreated the ticket. It's just made a complete copy. So I'm just confirming. I don't have to change any of this. This is all the same. Yes, this is all right. I'm just going through it. I'm just double checking, right? Because sometimes when we start going fast, we maybe make an error. Still want to take it, even though this is so fast and so streamlined and so cool and new and awesome, still just want to take that time, right? So we're going to click next. And so what it's done now, it's kind of hard to see it. Yeah, what's up, Ryan?
Sorry, keep going, and then I was going to chime in on what you're just talking about.
Sure. I was going to say is right here, you'll notice what it's created. It's kind of hard to see it on this dark peat soil that I used to farm on. But what this is there's actually, when I zoom out, it's a little easier to see. There's a grayed out shadow here. This is like, this is also subject to change. This might, by the time this goes live or in the future, this might be, you'll notice in other examples when I'm doing amendments and stuff, it'll have like a blue line around it. So maybe
that's what I was going to mention, is that we're trying to get them to change the shading on that, because when you're working like he mentioned in the dirt or even along some of the roadways, the shade of gray that they use blends in too easily. There's a good way to show it.
Yeah.
And so we're asking them to try and change that shade, but sorry, continue on.
No, yeah. So by that's a good, I hadn't done this before by changing it, because I had noticed that earlier. I'm like, well, I can't even tell. I didn't even, Colin pointed out to me. He's like, no, it's there. And I was like, really? And I'm looking like, oh yeah, okay. But yeah, when you have the street view, it's easy to see. So this basically, let's say you're doing this, right? We need to fill out the rest of this property, but we're binded to the bylaws. Well, this is how we can now to work with it, right? Work within those, work within that. So we can do something similar. How I found it last time. We still got to type this in again.
Yeah, you don't have to type that in again on step 2 there. Because it brings you, what it'll do is bring you right back to that point as it showed you.
Mm-hmm.
And then because you've basically let the system know, right, that you want to do a continuation. So it goes, okay, well, this is going to build off the previous ticket you created. So as Christian showed you, it's going to keep all your information and then bring you right back to where you drew that last polygon. And the goal for this, sorry, Christian, not to step on your toes here. The goal for this, the reason why they created this is that polygon is interactive. So we were having trouble with it. I haven't tested it since, but the way you should be able to click on the polygon tool to draw your next section north of that. And when you click on the polygon tool, it's supposed to snap to those corners. And it was being a little hairy with us recently for some reason. But the point of the continue tool is to allow you to draw your next polygon and snap it to the previous polygon so that you can ensure that there's no gaps in what you've drawn, basically. And it makes it that much easier when you're doing 3 miles of roadway or 10 miles of roadway on a highway. And every single time you have to go back to the starting point and use the measure tool to get to the next section, that becomes really tedious. So this allows you to see what you previously drew, start from that point, click to that previous polygon, start from there, and draw the next section really easily. So
I was gonna say, it does have that snapping feature, because if you notice, it kind of, you notice that there's no like basically gap right there. I didn't do it that accurately. It kind of forced my thing to it. So it does.
Okay, that's good. It
recognize the polygon.
It was working great, and then randomly we just had a little snafu with it, and then we were having them work on it, and so I wasn't sure if that was still fixed or not. But that's the point of it, to be able to snap like that and to easily create these long distances for you guys. You're never going to get around having to break up these long distances into multiple tickets, unfortunately. However, we're trying to put tools in place to make it easy for you so it doesn't become this burdensome thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not to just for sake of brevity, so we can get more into these questions, which are great. It's the same process to finish up a ticket, right? You would go ahead and create that and do the same measure, write out your description with the measurement, stuff like that. I'm not going to finish out the entire ticket, but that's exactly how you do it, right? So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that. That's awesome. That's continue ticket. So let's look at some more of these. What are some things we can now? We've created. So let's take a brief. For now, we're kind of transitioning to secondary tickets. I want to show you guys the positive response, how to search for stuff. So maybe let's dive into positive response real quick, just to kind of break it up before we keep going into more secondary ticket actions. Just because this is really cool. I've been playing with it during our testing. It's loading right now. We didn't just exit out the whole program.
Yeah, so one thing to note on this is all the functionality, most of the functionality is contained within that one dashboard. The positive response system is currently a separate platform, but that has a link to your previous platform there in your dashboard, as you saw. That is, again, another thing that's being worked on to move that underneath the dashboard. So when you click on it, your dashboard goes away and it just shows you all the positive response information in that spot. But for now, when you click on positive response, it'll actually load another tab and link your account to the positive response system. So don't be alarmed if it takes you to another tab. That's what it's supposed to do currently.
And if you noticed, there was a small delay there. It has to load up the program. So don't click, don't exit, nothing's broken. This is all being updated and is evolving as we're going along here. But what's cool, especially for folks who work kind of in multiple areas and not just one, is it breaks up your zones with your positive responses. And Ryan, feel free to chime in. I've just been kind of playing with it myself, but you'll notice it breaks up your projects in multiple ways by zone. You're also able to filter and search for tickets. So I wonder if this works as well. I'm testing it. Yeah. So remember how earlier I was saying, hey, if I put that job name in there, that's kind of cool, because I put in the job name Starbucks irrigation fix. When I wanted to look up the positive responses, I just had to type in Starbucks. So that job name thing is actually more helpful and useful than you might realize. So it's something to keep in mind, right? So I want to look at this project. It's giving me some information. Let's just take an inventory. We've got our ticket number. If there's an address, it'll have the address. It has when we created it, our legal start date. So we're saying, hey, let's pretend, okay, time's passed, let's view. Once again, just smart, right? Just shows you where it's at. We know exactly this is the right ticket we want to be working on. Yeah, so this is showing us all of our utilities here. If we want to say, hey, is PG&E responding to this? We can, right, as soon as I start typing in PG, it knows, here's PG&E. So I want to see it. And we're still waiting for PG&E, to hear from them on this. But so this is a kind of a cool thing, right? So this is a great way to track your positive responses. So anything else you guys want to add about positive responses and things?
The only thing I would add on there is you'll notice there's an internal note feature right there. This is actually really helpful for you guys as excavators. If you click to add an internal note, it'll allow you to put time-stamped notes and also upload photographs or other files to it. So if you just type in, I don't know, test 1, 2, 3, 4 or some random message, I'm having fun. Yeah. You'll also notice there's a browse button there if you want to, if you have, and this becomes handy if you have everybody has responded to the site, you've taken photographs to show where they've responded to, you can make a note like everybody has responded and upload the photos to show that. There you go. And then click yes down in the right-hand corner as you're complete. And then now just hit, the only thing is it won't show up until you hit refresh. So if you hit the refresh button at the top on the browser, and then you, yep.
That was Starbucks.
Yep. This is the only kind of annoying thing we've discovered so far with this. But if you go scroll down on the bottom of the ticket, or the bottom of the list of the members, I'm sorry, you'll see there's your notes and the attachment is there as well. And if you ever need to download that, you can use the download feature on the top right-hand corner to download that information. But you'll notice that it's time-stamped to the day and time that you recorded that and uploaded that information. And so, yeah, unfortunately, there are sometimes disputes in the field between what a locator said they've marked and what an excavator claims that they've seen on site. And we know that people keep track of this in various ways. This is just another tool to allow you to download or to allow you to track some of that stuff in a third-party site, basically. So
Yeah, and just showing that I just downloaded it. When I press download, it downloads the ticket, and then also I don't know if you guys saw that or caught that. They also download the positive response. So when I open up the positive response file, I can go down and I can see that note I just made. So I'm gonna say it again, game changer.
and then going back to the positive response, they're trying to make it as easy as possible. Obviously, this is a ticket that Christian just created with you guys. So you could see there's 0 out of 19 members that we've received a response for. But up in that top left corner, just an easy at a glance way of knowing if you've gotten all the responses, right? If it says 19 out of 19, then you've gotten all your responses, or 8 out of 8. And you can go through and look at their individual responses or not. But again, trying to make things a little bit easier for you as possible.
Absolutely. So multiple ways to search for these different tickets, right? So that was the main thing I wanted to show. You can search by a job name, so it's more useful than initially you might realize. So if you want to use it, it's a cool tool for searching later on. Also for ticket management. So for the positive response side, it's useful. And then let's say you want to search by road, you can do that as well. So if I type Balfour, well, it's going to pop up my Balfour project there. So a few cool things with the positive response page. And let me give me 1 second here. Okay, so it did open up another tab like Ryan had said. And hey, Ryan.
We're getting some people with questions about the two systems and the cutover date and ticket migration. So as soon as you're done, I want to kind of touch on that, just since we're getting a lot of questions about it.
Yeah, and I can be because I can see that would be the main thing a lot of people would want to know right now. So let me go to history here. This is just a great way of inventorying all your tickets that you've done. I'll briefly show you guys how to do some of these secondary tickets. They're all pretty self-explanatory. Continue ticket was the one that probably had the most to show. But if I bring up this project on Balfour, I go to my actions, that's where all this is kept. I think earlier I had said, hey, I don't know the permit number right now. Well, I now know it, so I'm going to amend that. So I'm going to click amend. So things amend can't do before it's, and what's nice is it's going to show you exactly what we're looking for, right? So that's going to pop up for any of these secondary ticket actions you select. It's going to tell you what we're looking for. But just for amendments, things that you're not going to be able to change, you can't change that start date, and you cannot change the ticket location, right? It wouldn't make sense because you'd be able to go back through, maybe utilities have already responded. You can't go in there and like change the description or the mapping at all, okay? So those are some of the things you can't modify. Some things you can modify, maybe you forgot to add a permit number, it was unknown at the time. You can update site contacts, phone numbers on ticket like it's explaining. So for the reason, I'm going to type that in, permit number update. Continue. And it's going to look just like you're making a ticket, right? You're going to notice on my, if you look at my cursor right now, do you see that little cancel sign? Basically, you'll notice I cannot modify any of these things, right? So if it's something, one of these things you need to modify or change, that's a new ticket, okay? So I'm going down. Okay, it was this. Okay, my permit number is actually BLD 2122 Bwood. And that's all. I just wanted to update the permit number. So I'm going down. And some of the things you can change, I guess, if you delineated, that's something you can modify. But you'll notice, yeah, these types of things, these are the sort of things you can amend. Site contacts, phone numbers, delineation method, okay? Next. This is just a confirmation, right? We don't have to remap. It's showing us this is the same mapping and all that. We're just confirming. Can't modify our dig site, like I said. We're just confirming. Submit. And so I've gone ahead and you'll notice right off the bat, hey, how do I know it did it? Well, you'll see this page, but also you'll notice at the top -001. That means we've done a revision to the ticket, right? Good actions. So how we just did the amendment, that's how most of these functions are going to work. I'm not going to showcase a renewal and remark because it requires me to log into my internal user and it'll get kind of confusing for you guys. But just know doing a renewal, it's the same exact process. So if you need to renew a ticket, all you do, you click this, it's going to say, hey, this is just for renewing a ticket for the next 28 days. If you need remarks, select remark. And that's that button. And then you would do the exact same process. You would just confirm the details. You can't edit anything, right? One more thing I want to show before we keep going is the return ticket feature. So this is a new one. So let's click that. So return. And once again, it pops up with a tooltip. It's going to tell you the steps and exactly what we're looking for. So step one, let's list the utilities that we need to return trip from. It says include.
Christian, before you move forward with that process, have we explained what a return trip ticket is for people that might not know what that is?
Sorry, yeah, good point. So a return trip, this is for, let's say you maybe you forgot to delineate or it wasn't a clear white paint marking, something like that. Maybe there was a gate code to access the site and you've got a utility out there and they say, hey, we can't get in. Before, what would you have to do, right? Maybe the excavator just tries to create a new ticket. It starts jamming up the system. So this is another example of efficiency within the system. Now the excavator is not going out and creating a new ticket on top of the one existing, right? And jamming up the whole process. So now we can get the utility to come back out because maybe there was maybe in their positive response, they say, oh, I noticed PG&E doesn't see my delineation or something like that, right? So we can use that for the example. And it's asking us too, right? So in the steps here, it says, hey, tell us why and who you need to come back out and who you are. So yeah.
So just to further chime in on that return trip, this is a brand new feature that is going to be in California only. This won't be in Nevada. So our Nevada folks on the phone right now, you can ignore this. But in California, this is going to be site-wide across both call centers that handle the state of California. And again, as Christian noted, some of you might think this sounds just like a no response or maybe an amendment. I would normally use an amendment for this. But this is specifically for a situation where you as the excavator or the crew has made a mistake that has prevented the locators from responding to the site. So it could be that you forgot to delineate, as Christian mentioned. It could be that the site has a security gate around it and it's locked and they couldn't respond to the site because they couldn't get into the site. It could be as a homeowner, you have a dog in the yard and they couldn't get into the yard to locate because they weren't going to take any chances with your pet. So it's a situation where the utilities couldn't locate for some specific reason based on the site conditions or something that you forgot to do. And so they will respond back to you and say that they couldn't locate it. And then you can request a return trip after you have resolved the issues. Now, the return trip does give them an extra 2 working days to locate because we have to provide them now, because it was the issue of the contractor or the excavator. We have to provide them with enough response time to schedule to relocate for you as well. So this is different than a no response. This is different than a remark request where you need more markings. This is only to be used if, again, you've done something that has prevented the locators from responding to the site and you need to resolve that issue. And then once you've resolved it, you can then send a notice back to them that the issue is resolved and they can re-roll a truck back out to you.
Awesome. That's what I was looking for. So we've got our note, we have our utility, we have the fix that we did, we have the contact point. So let's go ahead and continue. And similar thing, like I was saying before, this is just to confirm, right? So we don't modify any of these things. And we're just going to the bottom. Next, make sure it's right. This is the ticket. Yes. Yes. Submit. And that's how we do that. My other actions I wanted to show are, let's see, something to note, and if Ryan wants to speak to this, or Colin, or anybody, Chris, damage and exposed, these are now separated. So before, you'd have a damaged and exposed. I remember when I was a CSR, I'd get a phone call. I didn't damage anything, right? I see it, and people get so frustrated. So I'm glad it's cleared up now, because now I know we didn't damage it, right? So if anyone wants to speak to that, that's the separation, I think, is a good thing, right?
Yeah,
More
it's just to
clear.
provide more clarity on the situation. There's a lot of incidences where as a utility they would receive a damaged exposed ticket and not know if it was a serious damage or just somebody had exposed an unmarked line, for example, right? So it just made sense to split those two apart to give further clarity to the ticket. And that change does get applied across both states. So you will see that in Nevada as well as California, the splitting up of damage and exposed. And then another thing to point out, and I know Christian already pointed this out, but the way that we're handling these secondary notifications is a little bit different than how we currently handle them. And the reason for that is there's some extra development work that needs to be done by the Pelican team to allow us to do some of the things that we want to do with these secondary notifications. So the current way that the system is put into place is very freeform friendly, which is not a good thing usually. And that is why we put in these very specific messages and tooltips to show you exactly the information that you should be providing for each one of these things. So please don't just blow past this. This is critical information for your ticket. Please read the information there. It'll tell you steps on what information to note. It'll then at the end even provide you an example, like damage to ABC Electric Company power line nicked but not cut. Don't copy that. That's just an example to show you the formatting, the information that needs to be provided just to help you along. So this process will be changed up in the future, hopefully first quarter of next year, but before summer, we're hoping. But for now, this is kind of the way it works. So we just ask you to pay extra attention to that and make sure you're including the correct information for these types of secondary notices that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through with the entire thing because I think you guys get the gist of it. Every action you take, it's going to have you reconfirmed through the ticket, right? And just want to show you before we move on. This is the exposed one, right? A little different than the damage. So
it might seem a little weird for you as well after you put in the information, like for the exposed, to have to go all the way through the ticket again. The reason for that is if you've done those on our current system, you know that the current system is just one screen and displays all the information on one screen. So it's very easy to confirm that you're looking at the right ticket. In this new system, as we go through steps, which we think is an easier way to process the ticket, but it makes it a little bit more annoying when you're doing the secondary notifications and you have to confirm that you're looking at the right ticket. It makes you go through each one of those steps and confirm that it's still the right ticket. So a little bit of a difference. It's just in the way that we chose to do the ticket taking process that has caused that. And it might seem odd at first, but again, it's just to make sure that you are looking at the right ticket and that you're doing the right action on the right ticket.
Absolutely. And then just for housekeeping purposes, you got your cancel ticket function there if you need to cancel a ticket. And then also there's a copy ticket function. So I should note this copies everything about the ticket. And so, yeah, it's useful if you're doing like a poll line. I feel like that I maybe would use this as a feature because it's copying the exact dimensions of the ticket, right? It's similar to a continue ticket, but instead of having that the snap feature with the grayed out location from before, it doesn't have that. It's just going to be an exact copy of the ticket.
It's also super useful if you've accidentally let your ticket expire. You can use copy ticket to recreate it.
Great point. Yeah. So previously your ticket expires, you cannot, you can't renew it, right? So how we were doing it before was sort of, bring the ticket up, then you exit out, and then you press new ticket and you keep fields and keep mapping. Remember we do all that stuff? Now you just press copy ticket. And it's going to give you, you obviously want to confirm all the stuff, right? Move through it. But yeah, it's going to show you, hey, that's where you were before, right? So so you can go ahead and remap it and redo that. Yeah, so really useful. I can see you guys using it, for expired tickets or maybe doing the pole lines or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
that might
that's a
be-
much simpler way to do that. I love that.
Yeah, it's a great tool. So sweet. That is kind of it. As far as what I had, I feel like we got through the secondary ticket actions. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah. So you got, oh, so I don't know if I touched on this, your history tab here, right? This is showing you a full spread of everything you've done. This has got also your amendments you've done, or anything you've got. You've got a couple different ways to sort. Okay. You can type in the ticket number if you know that. If you just got the city, you can search that way. So there's a few different ways to search it. Also, you can change this instead of it being ticket type. You can sort them by, I just want to see my short notices or any of the emergency jobs that we did. Maybe you're, the city of Oakley, and you're like, okay, well, let's look at all the emergency projects that we had to do for the month of November, right? So this is kind of some useful just ticket management stuff, right? And it's, yeah. So if anyone wants to speak more to that, but that's what I was thinking.
The only other thing I want to mention, Christian, is how tickets are going to move from one system to the other, or how that process is going to work. Yeah. So just real quick, and I hope that this makes sense, but the reality of the situation is between these two systems, I think you can even tell just visually, it's apples to oranges, right? And the apples and oranges isn't just visually and features wise, but it's also data wise and server wise. The systems, they just are too different to actually talk to one another. And so there's no way to import tickets from the previous system into the new system. So the question becomes, well, what about my tickets that are currently active in the old system after you go live? Your tickets that are currently active in the Newtin system, once we cut over on the 16th, will still continue to be active. You could still continue to dig on them. They will still have an expiration date. They will still be valid. But then you say, well, what if I need to do a remark? So what we've done, since there's no way to pull the ticket data over, what we've done is we've created a way for you guys to do temporary ticket actions, temporary secondary actions on tickets in the new system from the old system. It's currently not available on this pre-prod environment that Christian's demoing, or else we would show it to you. But basically, when you click new ticket, there's going to be a drop down that happens, and it's going to say, do you want to create a brand new ticket, or do you need to do like a new remark, a new no response, a new renewal on an existing ticket? And if you click new remark, for example, it'll take you to the new ticket screen as Christian was showing you, but there'll be a window there where you can put in your existing Newtin ticket. And when you do that, it will search for it, it'll find it for you, and it'll pull up your existing Newtin ticket. But what you'll need to do is basically transcribe that information into the new system. And then after you've done that and you've remapped it and you've got all that ready to go, you can click submit, and it'll send it out, but it won't send it as a new ticket. It'll send it as a remark, or it'll send it as a renewal, or it'll send it as a no response. So for the first month, it's going to be very kind of annoying for some of our users that need to perform those actions. And we understand that. Unfortunately, we spent a lot of hours trying to find ways around this, and there's just not a way around it. Because of the differences of the two systems, they just don't talk to each other. So although it's annoying, there is still going to be a way for you to perform a secondary action on an existing ticket in the new system. Now, the one thing that we're going to highlight is this makes it so that you want to make sure that you're only taking the necessary action. So if currently you have a process where when the ticket gets ready to expire, you just renew the ticket and you continually renew the ticket, but work isn't necessarily going on, but you just keep the ticket open just in case. Those are the tickets that you might want to let expire. And then if in the future, you decide that you're going to pick up work again, or you're going to start work again, then you can go into the system and create a new ticket at that time. But there's the effort that it's going to require for you to kind of renew or remark or whatever these tickets in Newtin over to Pelican. because it's going to require that extra data entry portion of it to get it installed into the system, if you will. We really want you to make sure that you're not having to do that just for everything, just blanket renewals, just for the heck of it, that you really should focus on which ones actually need to continue and which ones don't, and let the ones that don't expire, and then just continue forward with the ones that need to as well. So we'll have to demo that for you in the near future at one of the other training events. But for now, just know that we're not thrilled about how that has to take place, but we know after working on this for so many hours that that's the only way it can take place. So we understand the frustration that might exist with that, but we hope you understand as well that we've done our best to provide an effort, a way for you guys to still continue those tickets forward in the most efficient way that we could figure out. So,
well, and yeah, and to speak to that, let's be honest. The old system we had limitations, right? We were kind of maxed out in what it could do. So with this new tool, we're going to be mobile friendly. We're going to be able to, actually gather useful data to notice, for safety. Because at the end of the day, why are we doing this, right? To keep you guys safe while you're digging. While the people are out there doing these projects, it's all about safety. So if we're going to have some growing pains, it's probably worth it if it means we can get, locators out to projects quicker. And, getting the, it's, for me, looking at how we now do it, it's so much cleaner and more intuitive, right? It's just night and day difference. Anyway, in the background here, I've put up our web services contact info. We have a department email. I've got our phone numbers listed here. If you also go to the USA North 811.org website, you have Ryan's contact, Chris, Colin, everyone's contact info is on there as well. And this is just a first look. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now or anything like that, guess what? We're going to do deep dives. We're going to be, continuing to do these type of things. Show up to more webinars. Join us. We're building this together. We wanted this. I remember for years I've been working in this department. We've been going, yeah, one day we're going to have a better system. Well, this is it, right? And we're really proud of it. So as we kind of transition along, that's what we got to keep in mind is get excited, right? This is awesome. So I just wanted to make sure like that was really clear, because we're all kind of nervous going into this. Like, are people going to like this? What's going to be the thing? And I just wanted to say, hey, we're building it together. So all the feedback, all the questions, all the frustrations, all the congratulations, we want all of it. So share it with us and let's do it together. I just wanted to say that.
Last thing, so people have been asking about the recording and how that will be available. I think Matt, you can make those available through YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes,
Hey,
that
I'll
is
answer that.
correct.
Oh, go ahead.
We have this meeting recorded, and we will at a future time be posting it to our YouTube page, which will be available to you to view at a later time. On top of that as well, we are currently producing training videos on the new system, and that will include specific location types as well as secondary actions, which you'll have access to view whenever you need to. So be on the lookout for those. What I would recommend as well is that you just make sure you're subscribed to our email notifications, as that is a primary way that we communicate these updates to you as excavators.
Cool. And they can do that on the website, I'm guessing, to subscribe to the emails.
Yeah, if they're not subscribed, they can send any of us an email here and we can get that worked out for them directly. So just shoot us an email. We'll get you added to the list, unless there's another way, Colin, to do that. I'm not aware of.
Cool.
Not at this time. We are working on a solution like that. Hey, one more thing, Christian, can you copy and paste all this contact information, the web operations, email address, and all the phone numbers, and throw it in the chat to everyone? We're not able to do that from our access.
Done.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a great turnout today. This is just the first one, so we're going to just get better and better, and the program is going to keep evolving along with us. I sent that to panelists only. 1 second. Cool. All right. So we've got our department email there. And yeah, cutovers on what, December 16th, right?
Midnight on December 16th. So the current Newtin system will be in place the day of the 15th. And then at midnight, the planned cutover, which is a Friday, will be happening. And just another thing, I don't know if you covered it, Christian, one last thing, starting the 12th, which is the Monday of cutover week, we will be allowing early access to the production system for you guys to go in, not to create tickets, obviously, because it's not live, but you will be able to go in and get your user accounts set up in advance. Even if you don't have your user account set up in advance, it's not that big of a deal. It's a very quick process. It'll take you about 5 minutes to create your user account, and then you'll be ready to go. You don't have to wait on our team to approve you to go through it. It's all handled automatically. So you'll get an email that you just click that you confirm that you want the account, basically, and then you're all good to go. So, but starting the 12th, we will be allowing access to the system for you guys to create your accounts. And that just makes it a little bit easier. So when we go live, you already got your account, it's in the system, you've already approved it, and you're good to go. And I think you just need to look out for an email. Also follow us on social media because we do post things there as well. But we will have that information come out in the near future.
Yeah, we'll be doing more of these webinars on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Looks like the time was a pretty good time slot, actually, because we had a lot of folks show up. But yeah, the Thursdays will be at, I think, 10, I believe, right? 10 to 12, 10 a.m.
Yes, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Thursdays. And then one thing to note, we do have a 2 webinars the week of Thanksgiving, but obviously we moved the Thursday meeting to the Wednesday before. So that'll be included in that Thursday registration link, which you can get from us if you need that.
Cool. All right. Anything else that we want to add before we sign off, or any questions we need to answer live here?
Last thing that I wanted to mention is for those of you that are still on with us, if you have others in your organization that need to get this training, again, we're doing it virtually Tuesdays and Thursdays. We also are doing in-person training in Las Vegas, Reno, and throughout California. So just make sure that you are promoting this to your other staff or organization members. Or if you work with subs and people like that that use the system, maybe just drop them a line or send them a note that, hey, USA is switching systems. I went to a training. It was really easy to kind of follow along, or whatever you want to tell them. But just to give them a heads up that this change is happening, because our goal is to try and get in front of as many people as possible, obviously before the 16th, so that goes as smoothly as possible for everybody.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Yeah, great, guys. Anything else that we want to share before we cut it here? Sounds good. All right. Appreciate everybody coming out. And yeah, we look forward to helping you guys moving forward with this and working together on it. Okay. I'll leave the contact info up here, and we got to keep the Zoom open, I'm guessing, for the last Q&A. Thank you. No, thank you guys for coming and sharing. We really appreciate all the 100, almost 160 questions. 200 actually in the QA. If you look at the dismiss too. So you guys were a really active, awesome group. So that's what we want, right? We can't figure things out unless you guys are wondering things, and we'll kind of cater this based off of the results to make it even more helpful and beneficial moving forward. So feel free to kind of come with us to the next ones if you guys want. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Christian. That was great.
Great presentation, Christian.
Yep. Excellent job, Christian and USAN team. We appreciate your time.